Hello everyone. Welcome to Wonderful World of Africa. I'm Sio, an assistant professor at CGI. My specialty is educational development. I'm conducting research on education in Kenya. Today, I will be talking about East African culture and education with a special focus on Kenya. Let's get started. This is today's contents. First, overview Africa. Second, culture and education. Africa is much bigger than one might imagine. In the so-called Margarita projection world map, which distorts the size of high-latitude regions, the African continent appears relatively smaller due to its proximity to the equator. Africa spans approximately 8,000 kilometers from north to south, and 7,400 kilometers from east to west. To put this into perspective, the distance from Tokyo to Seattle in the United States is 7,687 kilometers, and from Tokyo to Dubai in the United Arab Emirates is 7,935 kilometers. It takes about 11 hours to fly from Tokyo to Dubai, and I would think I had finally arrived in Dubai, but that still wouldn't cover the entire north-south length of Africa. The African continent is 80 times the size of Japan, very big. This is a chart illustrating the global population trends. According to the United Nations, the world population is estimated to reach 9.7 billion by 2050. A significant portion of this growth is expected to occur in Africa and South Asia. In 1960, Africa accounted for only 10% of world population, but by 2050, it is projected to exceed 25%. This means that 1 out of every 4 people in the world will be African. It is also said that by 2100, 1 in every 2 individuals on planet will be African. This graph illustrates the population trends in East Africa and Japan. It is projected that many countries, including Japan and developing nations, will enter a period of population decline. On the other hand, it is evident that Africa's population continues to grow at a rapid pace. This can be attributed to factors such as improvement in healthcare and sanitation, significant reductions in infant and child mortality rates, increased food production, and high fertility rates, among others. Here is a population pyramid for Kenya, South Africa, and Japan in 2040. The median age in Kenya is 25.7 years old, indicating a very young population. South Africa, having developed early on, exhibits a bell-shaped population pyramid, a characteristic seen in the advanced countries. On the other hand, Japan has a base-shaped pyramid, representing a society experiencing a decline in birth rates and an aging population. What does population growth in Africa bring about? The population growth in Africa brings both positive and negative impacts. On the positive side, the increase in the working age population contributes to vibrant economic activity and economic growth. The enthusiasm of young people promotes consumption, attracts investment, and creates business opportunity. However, population growth also presents challenges. It puts pressure on infrastructure systems such as transportation, housing, healthcare, and education, potentially leading to inadequate provisions of public services. Rapid population growth strains limited resources like food, water, and energy, causing scarcity and environmental degradation. Furthermore, population growth that outpaces economic development can worsen poverty and income inequality. Finally, population growth will have a significant impact on the governance of nations. East Africa is a region that faces the Indian Ocean, and according to the United Nations, it is defined as consisting of 17 countries. However, in African Union, Malawi and countries located south of it are considered part of Southern Africa. So, the definition can vary slightly depending on the organization. In East Africa, there is a regional intergovernmental organization called the East African Community. It has 7 member countries and a total population of 270 million people. The East African Community aims to establish a single currency system within the next 3 years. Here is basic information on the 3 East African countries. Each became independent from the United Kingdom in the 1960s. So, only 60 years have passed since the establishment of modern nations. Of the 3 countries, Tanzania has the largest land area, followed by Kenya and Uganda. And Kenya has the highest GDP per capita at $2,082. Unemployment rate is highest in Kenya at 5%. In particular, the urban youth unemployment rate shows a highest figure of 23%. Next, let's take a look at the GDP per capita in capital cities. Nairobi, Kenya has a GDP per capita of $6,229, while Dar es Salaam has $1,744, and Kampala also exceeds 1,000 as well. We Japanese people can anticipate what will happen next in East Africa. This is because Japan has already experienced a period of high economic growth in the past. At the stage where it exceeds $1,000, the government begins to develop public housing for middle-income residents. Urban infrastructure construction, such as bullet trains and expressways, also take place. When it exceeds 3,000, the food service industry develops and large shopping malls open. The sales of new cars, TVs, and air conditioners also begins. You can actually witness this phenomenon in Nairobi. Africa is currently experiencing rapid development, and Kenya serves as a great example. In Kenya, there is already high-speed railway connecting Nairobi and Mombasa. In the Karen area of Nairobi, there is a large shopping mall called the Hub Karen, spanning 8,000 square meters. The mall houses approximately 100 stores, including the upscale French supermarket Carrefour and popular fast food chain Burger King. On the other hand, regional disparity is extremely significant. National census surveys are conducted once every 10 years. This is the latest data from 2015. The poverty rate in Kenya is 36%. However, there are significant regional differences, with Nairobi having the lowest poverty rate at 17%, while Turkana has the highest poverty rate at 79%. The regions with high poverty rates are areas with harsh environments characterized by arid conditions. The county with highest number of poor individuals is Turkana, with 860,000 people, followed by Nairobi, with 750,000 individuals. Also, Nairobi has a lower poverty rate. It ranks as the second highest county in the terms of number of poor individuals in the country. Kenya is facing various challenges despite making progress. One major challenge is the unstable security situation characterized by terrorist activities carried out by extremist groups. Moreover, Kenya experienced ethnic disparities and conflicts, which further complicate the country's issues. These conflicts are persistent and hinder social cohesion and development. In addition, the lack of adequate economic infrastructure presents a significant obstacle. Furthermore, Kenya's economy heavily relies on agriculture and the service sector, leading to persistent problems such as high unemployment rate. Another pressing challenge is the vulnerability to climate change. Approximately 80% of Kenya's land is classified as arid and semi-arid, making it highly susceptible to droughts and other climate-related disasters. These events have caused extensive damage, particularly in northern Kenya. The Great Rift Valley is vast range in Africa, considered the birthplace of humanity due to numerous human fossils found there, particularly Kenya and Tanzania. When explaining the culture in East Africa and Kenya, one is immediately confronted with overwhelming diversity. Here, I will talk about two commonalities, language and cuisine. When it comes to language, a broadly applicable aspect is coexisting of multiple languages and multilingualism. In Nairobi, alongside their respective ethnic languages such as Kikuyu, Luo, Maasai, Kamba, individuals also use Swahili and English, which are official languages. Depending on the situation, people switch between their native ethnic languages, Swahili and English. In terms of cuisine, ugali is a staple food widely eaten in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and other countries. It's made by kneading cornmeals, and it is commonly enjoyed with various dishes. Nyama choma, meaning grilled meat in Swahili, involves seasoning and grilled meat such as lamb, beef, or chicken, and it tastes delicious when sprinkled with salt. Matoke refers to a traditional banana dish, while sukuma wiki is a type of kale served as a side dish. Chapati, influenced by Indian cuisine, is a type of Kenyan flat bread, commonly enjoyed alongside curries and stews. Let's look at Kenyan society. Kenya has two official languages, Swahili and English, and is said to have over 60 ethnic languages. It is known to have at least 42 different ethnic groups, with the largest ethnic group being the Kikuyu, accounting for 70% of total population. During the British colonial era, Kenya's administrative regions were divided into 8 provinces based on ethnicity, leading to different ethnic groups, predominantly residing in specific regions. Kenya is primarily a Christian country, but along the coastal area, it has been influenced by Arabic culture, and there is a significant population of Muslims. The region around Lake Turkana, located approximately 500 kilometers away from Nairobi, is a rock desert area with a large population of pastoralists. Around Lake Victoria, the Luo ethnic group is prominent. It became globally famous as the birthplace of a well-known father. Can you guess whose father? The answer is former President Obama of the United States. And the renowned Maasai presents the people of Savannah. Next, let me introduce the traditional Kenyan concept of Harambee. Harambee is Swahili word that represents the traditional spirits and values of community collaboration in Kenya. It literally translates to pulling together. This spirit symbolizes people uniting and cooperating to achieve common goals. The Harambee spirit has played a significant role in Kenya's independence movement and national building process. In Kenya, people have practiced the principles of Harambee by coming together and pooling resources and efforts to realize collective projects. This includes the construction of the road, schools, hospitals, and community development initiatives. In Japan and Western society, individuals can apply to local authorities or relevant institutions to receive welfare assistance in the event of unemployment or illness. However, many African countries, including Kenya, do not have social security systems. As a result, communities have numerous networks of mutual assistance, and Harambee holds great significance as their own social security system. Marriage is highly valued among many ethnic groups in Kenya. In Kenya, when a woman gets married, she leaves her birth father's house and moves to live with her husband's family. In the context of Luo society, men are expected to make a payment to bride's parents as bride wealth. Cattle, ghost, or cash are paid. The payment can be made in a lump sum or spread out over several years. However, recently, there has been a trend where couples cohabit first and the payment is made after a few years, usually after the birth of children. Polygamy is a common social structure in Kenya, where a man is allowed to have multiple wives. However, this societal form is not observed across all ethnic groups or regions, but is prevalent among certain Kenyan ethnic groups and areas. With the advancement of modernization and urbanization, there is a growing tendency toward monogamy. According to researchers focused on the Luo community, there are practices such as female marriage and ghost marriage. The practice of female marriage refers to a system where a woman who is infertile seeks to have offspring or when husband dies without having a male child. In such cases, the woman who was previously the wife in a conventional marriage marries another woman, who becomes her spouse, and is expected to have sexual relationships with the male relatives of deceased husband in order to bear a son who will carry on the husband's lineage. Ghost marriage is a marriage practice where, in the event of a young man's death without being married, his remaining relatives take a wife in his name. The purpose is for the wife to have children with the deceased young man's brother or male relatives, and the resulting child is considered the offspring of the deceased young man. Ensure the continuation of the family lineage. It can be understood that the emphasis is placed on the continuation of lineage. Let me introduce you to some homes in Kenya. The top row was taken in Eldoret City in western Kenya. The house in the top left photo represents a relatively affluent family in Kenya. The windows of the house have security bars installed as a measure against theft. The middle photo depicts a well-maintained house. In one particular home, there are blackboards in the living rooms to provide a space for children to study. The photo on the bottom left shows a Turkana home made of reeds in the desert region. The bottom right two photos are from in Kitui County, located in the eastern part of Kenya, which I visited in February this year as part of a short-term program. The photo on the right is her kitchen. Kenya is famous for its marathon. The table represents the number of medals won by male athletes from different ethnicities, subgroups in Kenya and the rest of the world. In the Olympics, Kenyan athletes have won 64 medals, surpassing the total of 57 medals from all African countries. When look at the ethnic breakdown, Kalenjin have won 54 medals, and within Kalenjin community, the Nandi subgroup has won 33 medals. This indicates that Kenya's world-class track and field athletes emerge not from across the entire nation, but rather from the narrow region around Eldoret City. Eliud Kipchoge, the current world record holder, is also a Kalenjin. Why are talented athletes concentrated in one specific region and one particular ethnic group in Kenya? There are several theories explaining why Kalenjin excel in long-distance running. First, the region is located at an altitude of 1,500 to 2,700 meters above sea level. The high-altitude environment is believed to naturally cultivate robust legs and endurance. In the past, Kalenjin were a pastoralist society and engaged in the economic activity of plundering livestock from other groups. Sometimes they would steal livestock more than 160 kilometers from their own settlements and get away with it. The theory is that these economic activities contributed to their strength. Some physical characteristics, such as long lower legs and the ability to consume less water and food due to having a lighter body weight, are also discussed as contributing factors. A British researcher investigated the relationship between the advantage in long-distance learning and genetics, but was unable to establish a conclusive link. Through DNA analysis, it was discovered that the group under study had extremely diverse DNA, indicating a history of migrations spanning several centuries. Finally, a journalist who conducted the investigation to unravel the power of the Kalenjin learners has concluded that their secret to speed lies in their mentality. The athletes who train at the camp have unwavering beliefs. They firmly believe that by training I can become faster, and have compelled faith in the notion that if others can do it, I can do it too. It is their mentality strength that propels them to the world stage. This is the basic education data for the 3 East African countries. Based on the latest available data, the literacy rates in the 3 East African countries are quite high, approaching 90% for young adults. The number of out-of-school children exceeds 1 million in all 3 countries. The primary school enrollment rates go beyond 100% as they include children who are older than the official school age. It is unclear why the latest data for Kenya show lower figures, as Kenya generally has good enrollment rates. The secondary school enrollment rate is highest in Kenya. Pupil-teacher ratio reflects the quality of education, and Tanzania has a ratio of 15:1, indicating crowded classrooms. In societies like Kenya, where there is a high value placed on academic achievements, exam performance becomes a determining factor for success. It would not be an exaggeration to say that the exam taken upon completion of primary school can significantly shape their lives. The results of these exams are covered by media with names of top performers along with their schools and scores being published. The sight of these high achievers celebrating with their families is often portrayed on television. As the exam results serves as an evaluation metric for schools, principals, and teachers, the entire school life naturally revolves around exam-centric activities. In this photo, teachers and students are seen celebrating and proudly displaying their exam result in front of the school. With a maximum score of 500, achieving 381 points or above grants admission to national schools, making it a very high score indeed. This type of academic competition is not limited to Kenya. In his book, Dowa referred to a global phenomenon where educational functionality is surpassed by selective function, leading to a situation where everyone competes for a mere graduation certificate. He labels this as the new civilization disease. The more rapidly developing countries, such as Kenya, experience intense competition in acquiring educational qualification for employment, which is referred to as the late development effect. Dowa also mentions Kenya in this book. The reason for high pressure and expansion of education system in Kenya are as follows. There are no other prominent criteria to justify social status apart from school grades. To become employed, individuals need to receive training and have good academic performance. The absence of discrimination based on hereditary social classes or positions allows for even greater competition. Next is education system in Kenya. The current education system in Kenya is known as the 844 system, which was implemented in 1985. This system is characterized by a memory-oriented approach to education. In the 844 system, primary education consists of 8 years, secondary education consists of 4 years, and tertiary education consists of 4 years. In 2019, Kenya introduced a new education system called the 26333 models, which is expected to full transition by 2028. The aim of this new system is to shift toward a thought-oriented approach to education. The following are the issues with the current education system. First, high youth unemployment due to a gap between school learning and practical skills needed in the real world. Second, low likelihood of meeting national educational goals. Third, insufficient acquisition of necessary skills and mindset for the 21st century. Fourth, lecture-centered teaching methods, limited subject choices, and exam-focused education systems that prioritize memorization. The 26333 education model is a new educational approach that emphasizes critical thinking education to nurture students' thinking abilities. This model defines 7 core skills and mindsets, including communication, critical thinking, good citizenship, and digital literacy, so on, and has been introduced in specific schools. However, the implementation of this education model faces several challenges. There is a shortage of appropriate learning materials to support the implementation of competency-based curriculum. Additionally, there is a lack of qualified teachers and their inadequate proficiency in ICT skills. Furthermore, teacher training programs need to provide comprehensive content aligned with the principles and methodologies of critical thinking education, indicating qualitative challenges. In Kenya, the school year runs from January to December. Students attend school 5 days a week with weekend off. Primary education is compulsory and has been made free since 2003. However, even though it is free, families still have to bear the cost of uniforms and educational materials, which can be burdensome for some. After completing primary education, students move on to secondary education. In Kenya, secondary education is categorized into 3 types of schools: national, county, and sub-county schools. National and county schools have well-equipped facilities and provide high-quality education. However, in sub-county schools, there is a shortage of proper facilities and teachers. Students frequently have high rates of absenteeism, resulting in low levels of academic achievement. Let's take a look at the enrollment and completion rates for each stage of education. The enrollment rates for pre-primary education is very high at 65%. This is because although pre-primary education is not mandatory, it is expected for children to have received pre-primary education before entering primary schools. Teachers, principals, and schools are evaluated based on the result of nationwide standardized exams. So, they are reluctant to admit students who are failing behind in their studies. Primary education has a high completion rate, with a half of children progress to secondary schools. However, less than 40% of students complete secondary education. The reason for dropping out includes economic reasons and the need for labor force participation. The university enrollment is 10%. The left photo shows a primary school in the outskirts of Eldoret City, while the right photo is a private school located in the city center. Economically affluent families send their children to high-quality private schools. In Kenya, 60% of primary school students attend private school. Additionally, there are cases of enrolling students behind the appropriate age, with 25% of all children being over the school age. This is a class of 8th graders in primary school, but these children appear older. I believe they are around 20 years old. These photos were taken in Eldoret City in western Kenya. The four photos on the left show half-slum areas. The top left photo shows a private primary school. There are no public schools in the slum areas, but private schools do exist. It was a holiday on that day, but when I was shown inside, there are two children in darkness. One of them is a student at this school, while the other attends different school in the city and was helping his friend with studying. There were children playing with handmade toys. This child, noticing my presence, showed me her skipping rope skill. The older brother is answering my questionnaire, while the young brother is lending him support by patting his back. Finally, I will talk about university education. The first university in Kenya, the University of Nairobi, was established in 1970. At that time, the number of students was 3,000. The gross enrollment ratio for higher education was 1%. In Kenya, the number of students enrolling in universities has been rapidly increasing in recent years. Between 2012 and 2018, the university enrollment has more than doubled, from 240,000 to over 565,000 students. The factors contributing to the increase in university enrollment include the society that values education credentials, intensified job competition, rapid growth of middle class, and government initiatives to promote high-quality education and research for economic development. These photos were taken in February this year when we visited Jomo Kenyatta University through a short-term exchange program. It shows a lecture room, laboratories, in-campus, and farm. We were receiving an explanation from mushroom researcher. In this lecture, I gave an overview of a current situation in East Africa and talk about cultures and education with a focus on Kenya. Cultures are diverse, and education is now at a turning point. Africa is a captivating place. If you have a chance, please visit Africa. You will definitely learn a lot. Thank you for your kind attention.